So what exactly is your higher self? You've probably heard the word thrown around before, especially if you're in the spiritual community or if you've read any spiritual book ever. Chances are you've heard the term or the word higher self. And while I'm sure many of you have a clear idea just through feeling what the higher self is, what I'd like to do is to illuminate and bring clarity to actually what the higher self is, how it functions, how it moves through life, and how you can connect more with it so that you can embody and integrate your higher self in the now. As an analogy, your higher self represents your heavenly self, heaven, and your human self represents earth. So this is the idea of bringing heaven on earth. All right. If you want to embody your highest life and highest purpose and greatest gifts, this is the video for you. So what's going on, guys? My name is David Lyon, creator of Living Magic and Opening to Channel. And I'm just here to support you on your path of spiritual growth, ascension, and mystical embodiment in ways that are practical and fun. All right. So let's go right into the video. Your higher self. What is the higher self? So what I want you to imagine is that your higher self is quite simply the butterfly to your caterpillar. That's your higher self. Your higher self is the butterfly to your caterpillar. It is the highest version of you that is existing ever so slightly in the future, that is its highest expression, its full-fledged self, its highest potential, that is the most liberated, the most alive, okay? So it is the you that you absolutely want to take direction from. And it is a you that is literally, not just metaphorically, that is literally existing on a higher dimension of reality. And it is giving you signals and communication to help you become it, to help you evolve into it. Because if you think about it, if everything exists in the here and now, and that is the only time that exists, even the caterpillar has its butterfly self that is already existing in a certain dimension of reality, and it is simply ascending to it. It is going through manifestations to give the appearance of growth and movement, but it is just shifting through parallel realities and parallel realities until it attunes to the higher self. And then the higher self attunes to its higher self, and so on and so forth. So now that you understand what your higher self is, let's talk about how your higher self communicates with you, its mindset, and its emotions. That way, by becoming clear on these things, you can start to reflect and mirror it so that you can more easily embody and integrate your higher self into the now. So let's start with, how does your higher self communicate with you? Your higher self, to go straight into it, communicates to you energetically. So while you can become sensitive enough to hear it clairaudiently and to hear its voice, it will communicate to you always energetically through the language of inspiration and intuition. Those are the main languages of your higher self: inspiration and intuition. That's why when you get a flash of inspiration, you're just like, oh, that's genius. And it's only later on that if you look back at that inspiration from your mind, that you could begin to poke holes in it and go like, oh, wait, but that wouldn't work because of this, and that wouldn't work because of that, right? Because now you're looking at it from your limited perspective, when in that moment you received the vision and the perspective of your higher self and felt the feelings that go along with it. So it communicates to you through inspiration and intuition, and often through the textures of excitement and adventure and joy and all those feelings, those attractive feelings that when you act on them, make you feel like more of yourself. Get the hint? Notice how when you act on your inspirations and your joys and your excitement, you end up feeling like more of yourself. You feel more connected to yourself. You feel more alive. You feel more in tune. You feel more in flow. You feel more like your higher self. This is the reason why it's so important and essential to act on these energies. And this is the reason why it's the top priority in my own life. I follow my highest excitement with my every breath above anything and everything, because I know my highest excitement is inclusive of everything. And as I fill up my own cup, I can give from the overflow. But I digress. So It communicates to you through inspiration and intuition. So imagine a caterpillar, right? A caterpillar is going about its life, and it's doing its caterpillar thing. And as it starts continuing on its path of growth, all of a sudden it starts to get these intuitions, these inspirations, this guidance that says, eat a lot more leaves. And it's just like, okay. And it just starts munching on some leaves and more leaves. And it's just like, more leaves. Yeah, more leaves. And it starts eating more leaves and filling itself up in an abnormal amount. And then all of a sudden it gets this guidance and it's like, hey, you actually have this spiritual gift. You have this gift that you might not know about, that because you've been following my guidance, but because you've been embodying the language of the higher self, and so resonating even more at a higher frequency, now you actually have access to this gift called cocoon making. Okay. So what I want you to do, and you're remembering it. So the caterpillar doesn't have to figure out how it works. It remembers it once it's in that higher frequency. And it's like, all of a sudden it knows how to do it. Same is true with our spiritual gifts. And then, so it goes, make a cocoon. And it's like, okay, cool. Goes, finds a nice comfy place, makes its cocoon, puts it around its body. It's all cozy. And it's like, cool, now what? And then higher self says, eat yourself. This is literally what happens. Higher self says, eat yourself. And so caterpillar, without questioning, because I guess it's not self-reflective, it just follows the guidance, it begins to eat its body, which could be another way of saying, letting go of your old self, letting go of your previous self, which feels like a death. Anytime you've exited a relationship, when you've been in a relationship for a long time or even a short period of time, often exiting that relationship feels like a death, because it is. It's a death of the identity that you once were, of an expired version of yourself that person can no longer be in a relationship and you are no longer to be in a relationship with. You are going into a more ascended state. So the caterpillar starts to eat itself and eat itself and eat itself. And then its juices, and I don't know all the technical words, but it's stomach acids and stuff, turn it into a goop. It turns it into a goop of sorts. So it's in its transitionary phase. And then there's something called, I might get the word slightly wrong here, but then there's something called like the imaginarium or the imaginous cells. Literally has the words imagination in it, but has the imaginary cells, I'll just call it, Google it, that start to interact with its fluid and all of a sudden start to morph it into this different being, into the butterfly inside the cocoon. So it's still inside the cocoon, and it still has, this is a fact, it still has the memories of its caterpillar self. However, now it's learning to let go of that and to become the butterfly self. And it's said that a butterfly, what it'll do is it'll keep pushing its wings against the cocoon, which feels like resistance, in order to strengthen its wings. So this is where oftentimes in your life, when you're following your inspirations and you're following your joys and your passions, and then your shit starts to come up and challenges start to come up that feel like hardship, that feel like challenge, that might have a resistance in it, you're strengthening your wings by continuing to go in the direction of where you're called to, because they're new wings, you're getting used to it. And then it's said that the butterfly breaks free from the cocoon in a single breath. Isn't that beautiful? It breaks free in a single breath. And so it breaks free, and now it's this butterfly. And then it goes about its butterfly business, doing its butterfly things, continuing to listen to its highest self, its next highest self, which is whatever, right? So, and this is all of this to say, this is the analogy that when you finally go through the hardship at some point, maybe there's that leap of faith or that thing that you're finally at, that you're called to do, that's going to take a deep breath. It's going to take a surrender, and a going into it. And then you ascend into more of your higher self. You integrate it into your body and you become more of your higher self, turning on and helping you now resonate with. So before you were vibrating over here, and as you've embody the light and embody the light and act on the inspiration and act on the intuition and the excitement and joy, you get into the radio station or the vibrational vicinity where those level gifts are now there for you, your butterfly gifts, your higher self gifts. So now your clairvoyance starts to turn on more, your channeling, your intuition, your energetic sensitivities are heightened because you're now able to perceive and sense a higher spectrum of light. So imagine a rainbow, right? So imagine that most people are only embodying 3 colors of their rainbow. And so they're only perceiving and sensing that spectrum of light. But as you ascend, you embody more light and integrate more spectrums of your rainbow so that now you can become sensitive to and aware of what was always there, what was already there. And you could use your higher colors, so to speak, to illuminate the higher colors in others so that you can guide them through your own embodiment, through your own experience and wisdom. This is the path of the higher self. Pretty cool, right? So I'm pretty sure this gives a very clear view on the dance and the movement of the higher self and how you can practically do this yourself in your own reality. Now, what I want to speak to now, just very briefly, is the mind state of your higher self and how it's very different than your caterpillar or human self. So the higher self, because in its mindset, it's geared towards expansion. It's geared, it knows it's an infinite being. And so when you're an infinite being and you're all knowing, so to speak, the most exciting thing you can do is expand on who you are, expand on your desires, learn about yourself in an infinite number of ways and perspectives. So what the higher self does is it's always forward moving. It never looks back. It is always forward moving. It is always going with the flow, so to speak, moving towards expansion, moving towards excitement, moving towards joy. And what it never does is it doesn't look back in its past to try and fix things because it doesn't perceive things as broken or wrong. It recognizes everything is perfect because that's how I got here. So I don't need to look back on the perfection to try and fix the perfection. I get to expand into more of it and experience it in an infinite amount of ways. So this is another way of saying, if you're someone who is an inner workaholic and you're obsessed with trying to find the next lesson, trying to find where you have another trauma or a mommy issue or a daddy issue so that you can be good enough to have the relationship you want or serve in the way you want to serve or whatever the thing is, you're being an inner workaholic. And if your attention is constantly on a problem that you think needs solving, by law of attraction, because you're investing energy in that, all you can attract is more problems to fix. And that's why your life might feel like I'm good, I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad, right? Because when you do solve it and you're like, okay, I healed that mama wound, you're like, oh, that feels good. So you have a high and then you attract another thing. You're like, shit, there's another layer. And it's a vicious cycle. Very, very unpleasant, right? The alternative is to move like the higher self, which is focusing on expansion rather than obsessive inner work. I'm not saying that inner work holds no value. What I'm saying is that there is an unhealthy way of going about it. There is times where through your journey of expansion and excitement that it will be called for you to look inside, because that is what's surfacing naturally. That is what's surfacing through your expansion naturally without you having to go dig and look for it. You have your crap coming up. And so the purpose of inner work is to root you more deeply into your beingness, into your infinite self, and to help you develop a stronger sense of compassion and forgiveness. So that as you're rooted like a tree, then you can go higher into enlightenment. You can go higher into your gifts or into whatever else. So it does serve purpose. I want to make that clear. But what I am saying is you don't need to do it obsessively. You don't, because what a lot of people is once they discover that they actually can heal their wounds and triggers and insecurities, they're like, oh, I'm going to find all of them and heal all of them, which brings them into that inner workaholic trap. Okay. So instead, what you can do is move towards where you feel the most expansive feeling, which is likely going to be in the direction of your fear. What do I mean by that? If you're feeling trapped for whatever reason, if you're feeling trapped on the inside and you just feel, yeah, if you feel trapped, instead of looking for why you feel trapped, you know, like, oh, I feel trapped because when I was 3, my dad locked me in the room, and right, whatever the thing is, instead of looking for why you feel trapped, acknowledge you feel trapped, and then also acknowledge what feeling you're looking to experience more of. What is the next step up? What is the higher vibration? Chances are it'll be freedom or adventure or expansiveness, right? So if you're in that state, instead of trying to solve your trappedness, just intuit, just feel into what is the direction of freedom. And you're going to feel it's like, oh, it's this. And then chances are fear will come up. Like, oh, but if I do that, then this person will judge me, or whatever case may be. And recognize that is just fear, right? It is a limiting belief that is surfacing. And it doesn't mean that you have to solve the fear and fix the fear before you move forward. It's just a signal saying, hey, you have a limiting fear coming up here. You have an idea that is untrue, and that fear is what's keeping you from moving forward. But if you simply act on that feeling to go towards freedom and get support if you need it, support is always a good thing. Get support from other butterflies if you're still in a caterpillar state. When you move in the direction of your freedom in that scenario, you're choosing to embody more of your higher self. And then as a side effect, you release more of those lower self energies. So another way of saying that is, it is by going into the higher vibrational state that you're going to have the revelations and the clarities that you needed that will make clear of like, oh, this is why I was struggling with that. And it's totally not what I thought. Everything's already perfectly okay, right? Your fear is safe. I made another video about this that you could look up if you want a way to better dance with your fears. I didn't put it out yet, but I'll probably call it How to Dissolve Your Fears. You can find it on my channel. And if you want to look at it, you could find it there, or maybe I'll link it somewhere. So, but that is the way to move like the higher self. You move towards the expansive energy. And when fear comes up, you don't stop at it. You go, okay, fear is coming. You feel what's beyond it. You feel, okay, wait, there's freedom beyond this. There's joy beyond this. So that's how I know that's what's in that direction, because that's where my butterfly self is calling me. This is how you move like the higher self. So now that we've covered the language of the higher self and the mind of the higher self, let's talk briefly about the emotional state of the higher self, because it's very different than the human emotions. Your higher self is essentially composed of 5 emotional energies: passion, joy, creativity, excitement, and love. Those are essentially, and you could say inspiration and curiosity and things of that nature, but those are more, well, I'm not going to get into that. Those are more, emotions mixed with an idea and a mind and things that come in. Purely on an emotional vibratory level, passion, joy, creativity, excitement, and love. Those are the emotional vibrations of your higher self. That's why whenever you act on those energies and you feel excited and you feel in love, you feel so in tune. You feel the most like yourself. You feel a natural sense of confidence because you're in a state of knowing who you truly are. So anytime you act on those energies, anytime you stop, you pause, you recognize, you're like, okay, wait, hold on a second. I'm stressing out. I'm like trying to do this work thing, but it's causing me stress. Hold on. And you stop, and then you feel, out of all these things I could choose to focus on, what is the direction of the highest degree of excitement or joy or passion or adventure or creativity or love? When you feel into that, what you're tuning into is your higher self direction. It's saying, this way. You don't need to figure things out. Come this way, and you'll tune into where things are figured out for you, right? So this is how you live your life from moment to moment to moment, so that your life becomes an ecstatic explosion of magic, abundance, and synchronicity without having to figure things out and stress yourself out. You get to tune into where things are figured out for you, where your higher self is calling you forth. So in every moment, pay attention to and prioritize your highest excitement, your highest joy in every moment. Because when you do that, you're going to connect to more of yourself. So you'll feel like more of yourself. And then you're naturally going to feel more illuminated, more compassionate, more loving, more giving, more inspired, which is going to allow you to get things done way more effortlessly, way more effectively, and way more efficiently, right? It's a lot more easy to move when you're being pulled rather than when you're pushing. So you're filling up your own cup and giving from the overflow. This is the art of living magic. And this is why I wanted to share this with you guys, because I felt it might be useful as a way of more deeply understanding in a very practical way what the higher self is and how you can align and attune with it and begin to integrate it, so that as you do so, as you continue on your path of ascension, which is another way of saying as you continue on your path of following your heart's divine guidance, your higher self guidance, you're going to be moving up the vibrational staircase, the vibrational spiral. And the more you ascend, the more you're going to click into and remember your higher self gifts. And then from that point, you get to learn how to use them and to help other people with them. And you literally tune into the magic that you are. This is why I always say you are the magic that you seek. You are quite literally living, breathing magic, expressing yourself in human form. All right. So I hope this video was helpful and fun for you guys. And if you did find it helpful, please go ahead and share it in your stories or wherever so that other people can benefit. And if you would like deeper support and you really want to learn more about this stuff and be even more supported on your path of higher self-embodiment and ascension and healing and learning about your spiritual gifts, I invite you to check out my all new Living Magic platform, where you will receive that support. There's literally over 400 videos in there, channeled videos, as well as guided experiences that will show you how to do things like develop and master your spiritual gifts, communicate with your spirit guides, permanently dissolve emotional traumas in one sitting, and all kinds of other things, from wealth to relationships to creativity, you name it, including support from other ascending masters, which are my own personal mentors, teachers, healers, and friends. And you get connected to the Light Leader community, which you'll have infinite access to. So if you've been on this path alone, or you simply want to meet other like-hearted souls so that you can have a more fun way of growing and not feel so weird or just expand quicker, you're going to get access to the Light Leader community, where you're going to see there's tons of people like you who are just wanting to help you out and offer you opportunity and support you and become your friends. All right. So you could check all of this out on our website, which is www.livingmagic.life. And on there, you're going to see the Living Magic platform, as well as opening the channel if you want to explore that well, for those who really want to dive deep. But I'll let you explore that one for yourselves. All right. So again, my name is David Lyon. Thank you for being here. I hope this was helpful. Looking forward to reading your comments, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.